and welcome to Season 6 of Under SF Curiosity. My name is Becca McHenry. I'm a Broadcast and Electronic Communications Arts major, or Becca major, with a minor in drama. I enjoy public speaking and acting, and I'm so excited for this season because we are going to dive into some really awesome subjects.
And I'm Sam Chua. I'm also a Becca major with an emphasis in broadcast journalism. A little bit about me, I'm from Malaysia and I speak 3 languages. Coming from another country, I'm excited to get an in-depth look at what the Bay Area has to offer.
And we're your hosts for Under SF this season.
Under SF Curiosity takes a look at a variety of topics relevant to San Francisco locals. Each week, the show takes a deeper look at questions about a topic and strives to provide more insights into different issues such as gender equality, climate change, and immigration, to name a few.
We bring in key members from different organizations and learn more about their role in the community. Then we'll end our show with a call to action, followed by a live musical performance.
I'm excited, Becca. I can't believe it's our first show. Let me ask you, what are you curious about?
Honestly, I'm real curious about how to make the perfect chicken parmesan. But in all seriousness, I want to know how residents in San Francisco can deal with the high cost of living. For what we're paying, we definitely could get a mansion out in Idaho or somewhere.
But Idaho! I'm just kidding. We love you, Idaho. Anyway, did you know that the cost of living in San Francisco is around 60% higher than the national average?
I did not know that, Sam. That's really crazy.
Well, today we'll look more into different resources San Franciscans can use to better handle eviction.
Sounds great. I also wanted to know what pricing's like in Malaysia, Sam. Like, how is it different from here?
Well, your US money can go a lot farther over there. For instance, like a meal, $1 can actually buy you a really good meal back in Malaysia.
$1 can buy a really good meal. So like a really good meal here is like $14 or like $15.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so I'm definitely going to Malaysia.
Yeah. You have to come.
Really good food and $1.
And just like one chicken rice, for example, it's only like $4, $4
Oh, ringgit.
And
okay.
that's like $1.
That's crazy. So what is housing like? How is that different from like here? Because you live in San Francisco now.
I live in San Francisco now, but back home in Kuching, that's where I'm from. It has really big land. There's too much space. I think housing will be cheaper compared to San Francisco.
And it's a big city here, so it's obviously.
Yeah. And what about you? And it's really hard to find like a house here.
Yeah. So I pay like way too much for my own bedroom. I know some people that pay like $400 to live in a closet all year, and I'm like,
I can never do that.
Yeah,
no.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy. I think we live in one of the most expensive cities in the nation. You know, like that's insane. As college students too.
Yeah, right.
It's hard.
Yeah, but what about back in Orange County though?
Orange County, it's not too different. It's definitely a cheaper cost of living than San Francisco, but still really difficult.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
But anyway, according to Business Insider, the average rent in San Francisco is close to $1,500. That's higher than every major city in the US.
That's right, Sam. The cost of living in San Francisco is 62% higher than the national average. This means people are being evicted from their homes.
That just amazes me to know how expensive it is to live out here. From 2012 to 2015, owner move-in evictions went up around 100%. How crazy is that?
That's way too much.
But, well, here we go. For some evictions, senior and disabled tenants are protected. Children only have some protection, while teachers are protected only during the school year. Only one eviction is allowed per...
Okay, or you could just visit the Housing Rights Committee. I visited them and met with their director, where we discussed different issues about housing, and I heard stories of people who had been affected. We're here at the Housing Rights Committee. They offer free counseling to San Francisco tenants in public housing. They organize entire buildings to fight against eviction and displacement and advocate for low-income tenants in San Francisco. If someone is in need of some advice, they can come here and get the help that they need. Thank you so much for being here with us, Fred, and having us come to the Housing Rights Committee. Can you talk about a little bit about what your role is and what the Housing Rights Committee is?
The Housing Rights Committee is one of the citywide housing groups. We fight housing displacement, rising rents, and for good housing conditions.
So I'm basically the director of the counseling program, which is very much an integral part of housing rights, because what we do is we offer free counseling for tenants in San Francisco, no matter what type of housing they live in, whether it's Section 8 public housing, rent controlled, BMRs, whatever they're living in, we try to help.
We're not the only place having a crisis. Concord's having a crisis. City of Richmond's having a crisis. There's a housing crisis throughout the United States right now. People who want to make a quick buck are a huge part of the housing crisis. And so there's a lot of myths about why we have a housing crisis in San Francisco.
Maybe the person's lived there for 20 years, they want to make more money. So they figure they get that person out, they can now jack the rent up to $4,000. Maybe that tenant's paying $1,000, they can jack it up to $4,000. You know, a lot of this comes down to greed. A lot of it comes down to, someone just wants to make more money.
Housing is an important part of health. It's an important part of people's lives. Kids who get pulled out of school in the middle of the year do worse in school. And so we're fighting to keep the community here. Everyone's welcome here. And we really believe in vacancy control, that all rents should only go up with inflation so that rents are affordable to everyone.
We've got to look on housing as a form of keeping people healthy. You don't take someone who's lived in their apartment for 40 years and suddenly rip them out of an environment and expect that they're going to live, that they're going to be able to deal with that change. We have this saying that, eviction equals death. Well, it really does for some people.
That's Iris Canada. She was evicted from her apartment in the Fillmore in the Western Addition and died soon afterwards. And we see this over and over.
I think one of the key philosophy behind the counseling program is we want to help empower people. So we don't want them to just keep having to come back to us every single time they have some little problem. We want to help educate them and help give them a sense of wanting to fight.
We are trying to pass a law in San Francisco in June. It's called Right to Counsel, which would mean everyone would have a lawyer in court. And 80% of tenants do not have a lawyer. So that means tenants are going into the eviction process against high-powered lawyers all by themselves.
Because knowledge really is power. I mean, if you know your landlord can't do certain things, and then your landlord comes to you and tries to pull that stuff on you, no, you can't do that. You can't tell me to leave. You have to have a written notice. And you have to have a just cause. And you got to give me a certain number of days. And then, so it's power.
It was really great to visit this organization and find out more about what they offer. Not only was the staff super welcoming at the Housing Rights Committee, they are also really passionate about helping people. And I think it's really important for our community to support them. You can get involved in the Housing Rights Committee by either volunteering, donating, or visiting their website at hrcsf.org.
Yeah, they look like they offer lots of resources, and I can't wait to interview Kim Craig, who is a volunteer and legal clerk at another organization we worked with, the Eviction Defense Collaborative.
We'll be right back.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's the people. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi, and transgender, and Native American, and proud of it. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? Because love has no labels.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers. while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Welcome back to Under SF. Today we are joined with Kim Craig from the Eviction Defense Collaborative. Thank you so much, Kim, for coming here onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
Nice. So I have a few questions for you. What made you want to get involved in this organization?
So I'm born in San Francisco. I was raised in South San Francisco and then later to a very ugly suburb known as Antioch. But ever since I was really young, it was a dream of mine to move back to San Francisco. My parents met here on a muni bus, which is a very romantic story. But I felt like San Francisco was my home. And I realized when I was starting school at City College that it was going to be almost impossible for me to move back here. My background that I come from is fairly privileged. I come from a middle-class family that was able to pay for my school, but at the same time, they couldn't afford to have me living in San Francisco. So I started to reflect on what that must look like for people who are not as privileged as I am and who come from backgrounds that are different, especially San Francisco locals. So when I started to think about how difficult it was for me and my position to be in this space, it made me realize, how difficult it is for like community members who are locals who have been here for a long time, who may have disabilities or who may be seniors. And that's when I started to get involved in housing as a social justice cause.
Okay, wow, that's awesome. Nice. And what is an owner move-in eviction?
An owner move-in eviction is a fairly popular way for owners to evict tenants. We call them no-fault evictions. They only require a 60-day notice, and they require for the owner to move in. The move-in has to be, I think, for 2 years. And after 2 years, the owner can then leave the premises and then put new tenants in. It's a really popular way for landlords to evict tenants for no reason. They could have been really fantastic tenants for like the last 20 years, but the owner realizes that like the unit's only $1,200, he could rent it like for $4,000, and that's a huge opportunity for him, they, to evict tenants so that they can maximize on profits.
Well, that's really frightening for them to just leave like that, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're only required, if they've been there for a year or longer, to receive a 60-day notice. It usually does come with like a buyout. There is a minimum amount that landlords must pay the tenants to leave.
They can't just let them go. You know?
Well, I mean, they're saying you definitely need to leave, and we'll give you a couple $1,000. So like the couple thousand can sometimes be as small as like $8,000. And anyone who lives in San Francisco knows that $8,000 is like, for like a 1-bedroom is maybe like a deposit and first month's rent. And so it doesn't really set you up to be in a unit that's market rate. So if you're coming from a unit that's been rent controlled for like the last 20 years, it's still putting you at a grave, grave disadvantage. And unfortunately, it's the cause of a lot of displacement in San Francisco.
Okay, so what should people do if they're going to get evicted from the owner move-in eviction?
Definitely come to EDC. They can come within the notice period, which is when they receive the notice to terminate tenancy within the 60 days. We also refer clients to an organization called Justice and Diversity Center. They run a program that provides attorneys to every tenant who's being evicted in San Francisco at their settlement conference. JDC tends to step in during no-cause evictions, but EDC takes on a lot of owner move-in cases. They're really hard to defend, though, but we can still, what we try and hope to do is to buy time for tenants, maximize on their buyout if we can, but most of all, try and prove that the landlord isn't actually going to move in. That's the only way to save the tenancy, is to have some tangible evidence that will prove that the landlord's main interest is to maximize on profits and not to actually move in. So we do offer some litigation help, and we are happy to help in any eviction scenario, including owner move-in.
Wow. What an amazing resource. Yeah, so thank you so much, Kim, for coming onto the show.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best, and yeah, thank you. You guys at home can get involved by donating, volunteering, or visiting the website for more information at evictiondefense.org. We'll be right back.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Welcome back to Under SF, you guys. We wanted to thank Kim for coming down and telling us more about EDC.
If you're facing eviction, you can also visit EDC's drop-in clinic at 1338 Mission Street, 4th floor.
Now, without further ado, we'd like to introduce a performance by Under SF's very own Ian Chu.
Everybody's on the wall, waiting on some alcohol. Nobody who wants to talk. No one's on the dance floor. I don't plan on leaving soon. How about we switch up the mood? I really like your attitude. So why don't we take a lead? Live in the moment with me. Live in the space between.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the first episode of the season. Next week, on Under SF, we will be learning about the experiences of Arab students here at San Francisco State, as well as local resources for Bay Area Arabs.
We are excited to chat with people from the General Union of Palestinian Students and a representative from the Arab Resources and Organizing Center. Tune in next week when we continue to fuel our curiosity with this city. Have a good one.